I think everybody is lucky a couple times in their lives. I was lucky in '68 in Vietnam. On January 21st, I was lucky that these three were playing hockey with me.
On March 4th, 2024, 3 men from the Anoka community received the Civilian Service Award for their life-saving efforts back in January when longtime hockey coach and player Tim Kelsey collapsed during their weekly pickup game at the Anoka Ice Arena.
We don't give them out very often because events like this just don't happen very often. So when one of our officers came to us and said we should give out a civilian service for this, we're like, absolutely. Especially when CPR and AED use is being so preached these days, and everyone needs to learn something like this. And now we have an example of why we need to do this and why we need to learn how to use these things. So it's just truly amazing.
Christian, Brian, and Adam are all longtime hockey players in Anoka, who are now seen playing hockey in the Sunday scrimmages hosted by Tim, and it was their response, along with everyone else in the arena that day, that saved Tim's life.
I did have some brief CPR training with a previous line of work that I did, but in all reality, I winged most of what I did that night, so I'm just glad that it worked out favorably.
I have a sister that's an orthopedic therapist, and she asked me like the next day if my chest hurt. I said, just where I got shot. She said, your ribs aren't broken or anything? I said, no, I don't have any pain. She said, they did it wrong.
I was going as hard as I could. You're a tough customer.
It's a good group, an even better group since what happened here in January.
Hearing the story it's truly amazing. I mean, in events like this, we don't normally have good news like this, and I mean, I'm in awe. What these guys did, just the know-how and just the action they took right away to take care of a fellow hockey player on the ice is just unbelievable.
The first thought was to turn around and go get my phone as being an employee here at the Anoka Ice Arena to call 911, knowing the address and all that stuff. I was handed the AED machine and took that over to the bench, and S3 started taking care of Kelsey. And from everything that happened from when we started, or when Kelsey collapsed to the time first responders show up, was 7 minutes.
I was on the bench at the time and just happened to look over and saw commotion on the other bench. We all immediately knew something wasn't right. So we all jumped our bench, got over to that side, and found Kelsey where he was on the floor. As a Phi Ed teacher, I've actually been trained and certified in CPR for about 15, 18 years. For me, it was a moment where instinct kind of took over, and that impulse to just get in there and help was part of that. The AED probably wasn't put on, actually the pad's not placed in place for was at least a minute or two. Adam jumped in the bench right away after we got his mouth guard out and got him pulled out from under the bench and started chest compressions immediately for a good minute or so. And then I jumped in when he needed a rest, and I continued chest compressions. During that time, Christian and the other guys on the hour were helping however they could get a hold of 911, keep track of time, get the AED over to the bench, and just get it on him as quick as we could.
I remember going to the bench, and that's the last thing I remember until I woke up at Mercy Hospital, probably an hour later. Between that, I remember nothing. And these guys are always telling me stuff that went on after I got shocked back to life. And I was trying to tell everybody, no, I just want to go home and go to bed. And I didn't want the police helping me. And I guess I was really a lunatic. So, and I skate 2 other places besides here every week. And I do truly believe if I was at either one of the other places, I would not have lived because of this group of people that reacted so quickly, so efficiently, and did everything right.
The application of the AED was the difference between life and death on that January evening, and it serves as an important reminder why CPR training and education is important for all to learn, and why having an AED on site is essential now for all places of business.
For us, knowing what these guys did was a game changer. Normally, when we show up to a cardiac arrest or a serious medical thing like this, it's usually too late when we get there. So early intervention is key. I mean, the public knowing CPR and knowing how to use an AED was key in this. I mean, they couldn't have done it any better, and essentially that's what saved them. Nothing what we did saved them. It was the three gentlemen that are heroes in this event, for sure.
Yeah, I think for us three speaking about it since, it's never been about the actions that we took. It's about the results and making sure that Kelsey got to keep skating, because he's one of the few guys that it's a little easier to get around still. And just knowing that it wasn't just the three of us and it was a group effort from the guys, making sure the right doors were open, to making us aware of how serious it was from the get-go.
I guess my biggest takeaway being around situations like this where people haven't been so fortunate is how awesome it was to see all the guys rally in that moment, to be part of that and see the heavy weight of the moment and how it impacted guys, but also how everybody responded. You know, we go back and forth every week. There's a lot of chat back and forth between the teams, but watching all the guys in that moment come together and really respond in the fashion and the quickness they did was remarkable, because it doesn't always pan out that way in these situations.
And also just knowing how many pieces had to come in place, how many nights that I'm not here and Christian's not here and Pender's not here, and all the guys being here at the right time made all the difference.
You know, we're us three getting the spotlight here, but I truly believe that everyone on that ice also deserves spotlight. It goes from opening the doors to pointing which way. So when the first responder got here, he just had to follow pointing fingers to go where to go to get to the bench where Kelsey was laying to help us there, and that's going. I'm blessed that Kelsey's still with us today, and truly blessed. Can't wait to hopefully see you here this fall skating again, Kelsey.
You bet. Sooner than that. The biggest thing I think that I can say for this to go on the TV is that everybody should go and get trained. You never know when this is going to happen. In my deepest thoughts, this was never an idea that this would ever happen to me. All the years I've been playing hockey and stuff and other sports and that kind of stuff, never once was this ever a consideration to have this happen to me. So people need to get out and get trained.